Hi everybody, hope you're all well. So today's topic is on leg training. So there's a lot of kind of conflicting opinions on this topic, so I thought I would talk about it and my thoughts on it really. So for some people, they find leg training is very challenging because the legs are, they're big muscle groups, which means that they can cause a lot of fatigue. So, like when you're doing like heavy barbell squats, for example, that can cause lots of fatigue potentially, and a lot of people don't like that. They don't like that feeling or something. Personally, I quite like it just because I find that it just kind of really it's just like there's a lot of power in the legs, and it's just made up of like big muscle groups and stuff. So I quite like training them. I usually do pistol squats, or some variation of squat, um, but yeah, like there's no reason to skip out on legs unless you are trying to like for a specific goal where you only want upper body strength and muscle. For example, if you're a gymnast or a calisthenics athlete that is primarily upper body, then having excess lower body muscle would actually be more of a hindrance, if anything. So there are cases where training lower body excessively would be a net negative. And yeah, but there's this whole thing about like what they call sexual dimorphism. I've been hearing a lot about this topic of sexually dimorphic traits in somebody, like for example, not just about things like the muscle mass differences, but in terms of the proportions and stuff, like for example, upper body to lower body. So like in a woman, they tend to have more muscle in their lower body versus in their upper body. So whereas for men, they tend to have more upper body muscle than women do. So basically, that's then led people to say, well, men should either skip leg training or keep it to like a minimum or something, because otherwise it's gonna hurt your sexual dimorphism. But anyway, hello. I only train legs by cycling. My zone 2 is like 200 watts. Oh, really? Is that meant to be good then? But but I think training legs to some degree is good because of in terms of longevity, and like the muscles in the legs can become weak when you get older. Like we can lose a lot of that muscle and strength in our legs as we get older. So it could be important to have some base of strength and muscle in your legs. So if you've never really hardly trained them, then they could end up becoming weak and actually can lead to frailty in your old age potentially, because we need our legs for a lot of day-to-day activities. So my legs turn to jelly and I can't walk if I work them too much. Yeah, of course it comes down to like balance really. So maybe spreading the load out throughout the week is better. This is how I would suggest that people train legs if they want to like they don't want to deal with the, extreme soreness or anything like that, maybe you're going too far on a particular session. Whereas if you was to train them more regularly with less volume per session or less intensity per session, then you could arguably still get the same results, but it would be done more spread out. And that could be how people can still enjoy leg training and not be dreading it because they're not having to do tons and tons of volume and then feel like shit the next couple of days. So that's something I would say, maybe try it that way and see how that works. But it comes down to the individual. But you probably shouldn't train them too hard, because then what's the point of doing that than to just feel like you can barely even walk the next day? You're training to be functional and actually be, obviously looking good is one thing, but like, we want to be functional, we want to be able to be athletic and whatever. We should be able to wake up the next day and then still feel like you can go about your business and do whatever you want to do, that you can the very next day go for a run or whatever. But a lot of people will train their legs super hard and then they end up the next day they can barely walk, let alone run. So I think it's just in terms of how you structure your training, and the way I train, it's like I'm pretty much able to go at it every day. Some days I go harder than others, but I try to incorporate some training every day almost. So yeah, that's how I do things. Whereas some people, they might just say do the kind of, they'll do these kind of things where they might do, say, like train legs one day, train upper body one day, and it's like the idea is to give one body part time to recover. But the problem of doing it that way is that you can end up with very taxed legs every time you train legs. Whereas if you split it up, then it allows you to be generally more like functional and be able to just kind of, it doesn't hinder other things, like, because I would just do my session, let's say, and then the next day I'm fine. I can go about it again. But so it just comes down to a lot of it, I think, on how people structure their training. Like, there's no need to like have to go so far that your legs feel like jelly. I've done that before, where I do some ridiculously hard leg session. I was like, fuck this. I was literally like, my legs were just like messing up, trying to walk around and stuff. I remember if I tried to run that, I'd feel like I was about to fall over or something, like I was about to trip up or something, which is not good. But yeah, there's a line between kind of doing it like enough and then just kind of going ridiculous with it. Anyway, so but yeah, this whole thing of sexual dimorphism, I mean, I don't think that training legs is going to hurt sexual dimorphism. I don't really get that argument, because, like, I don't think legs are a particularly, like, dimorphic trait in general, like, in terms of, I mean, the difference is in muscularity in legs or less, but basically upper body is where you can sort of like tell more. It's like when someone's got like broad shoulders, stuff like that, tends to indicate someone's a man. And that the more that you train that, then that sort of like exaggerates that more, but then going too extreme can just look disproportionate. And like if you've got a disproportionately big upper body and just kind of chicken legs, it just doesn't look right. Like I think having a balance of upper body muscle and lower body muscle for a man actually looks optimal. I don't get this argument of like training the upper body so much and then just kind of not doing much on the lower body, especially on like the quads. It just doesn't look proportionate to me anyway. But yeah, I mean, hope everyone's well today anyway. But yeah, it just seems like a lot of people are coping basically because they know that leg training it's hard, but it's the hard things that build character. And if we can put ourselves through that, then we can put ourselves through anything. Sometimes it's good to like put yourselves through something that's a little bit uncomfortable, because after we've done that, then nothing's going to faze us. It's sort of like a way of building mental strength, because it's not just about the physical strength, but the mental strength to go with it, like the mental resilience and all that. And because I did a set of like 20 kilogram squats for like over 80 reps. So there's a certain level of mental strength that you would need to have in order to do that. Or I once did 225 body weight squats before. Again, you're going to need to have a certain level of mental strength to grind out those last few reps when you're really struggling. You know, when you just feel like giving up, but you just kind of determined to just try and get a few more reps out. You know, every rep is becoming harder than the last one. Harder than friggin' last time! Oh God. Anyway, who's in here then? It's very quiet in here, isn't it? I don't know, but yeah, like I mean, you know, there's some reasons to go hard with legs, or some reasons not to. It depends on your goals. But you shouldn't just listen to people telling you, "Oh, you shouldn't train them because sexual dimorphism." Because I don't think it's gonna hurt you by training your quads and whatever. Like, because otherwise you're just gonna end up with this kind of like comic looking physique where you have big shoulders, big arms, and then skinny looking legs. I mean, I think a well-rounded body is just better, but each to their own, I guess. But, you know, like, so if you're a gymnast or something, then training the legs might not be a good idea. At least not the way that, like, a bodybuilder would do it. I think they do need to have, like, some legs, just because of, like when they're doing, like, the tumbling and stuff like that, I think they need to have some strength in their legs. Because that might help to like, but when it comes to like the impact and stuff, I'm not 100% sure, but I was watching this video where it was going on about like leg exercises for gymnasts, and they would do like these kind of body weight exercises for legs. You probably wouldn't want to be doing like heavy barbell squats if you're a gymnast necessarily, because it just isn't going to be functional to that particular thing. But we're talking about functional training, and yeah, some say it's like an overused thing, but I guess I don't know. It's one of those things that's, you could argue it means different things to different people. What's functional to one person is not functional to another. But yeah, I don't know. There's not really much going on in here, is there? I might just get off and yeah. All right.